Well, let's go back to our breaking news this hour. And Brazil's former right-wing President Jair Bolsonaro has been found guilty of attempting a coup, which culminated in his supporters breaking into and then vandalising government buildings after he lost the last election. The verdict, along with other charges that he's facing, means that he could be looking at a decades-long prison sentence. Well, let's go live to Brasilia, where that court case has been proceeding. We can speak to Gustavo Ribeiro. He's editor-in-chief of the Brazilian Report. Gustavo, thanks for joining us on BBC News. This news just coming to us in the last half an hour or so. Was it expected or anticipated that he would be found guilty?
Thanks for having me. Yes, the trial was not necessarily anticipated because it was mysterious. I mean, when we look at the trajectory of the justices that are involved in this case, we pretty much knew how they would lean, and it has gone so far according to expectations. There are 5 justices that are voting on this case. 4 have already voted. We have a 3-1 score to convict all 8 defendants, including Jair Bolsonaro, who is set to be convicted for leading a criminal investigation and become the first Brazilian president ever convicted for staging a coup d'etat.
And what could this mean when we get to the sentencing hearing, Gustavo?
Well, Bolsonaro is expected to face at least 30 years in prison. His sentencing could go north of 40 years in prison. It remains to be seen whether he will serve that under house arrest or in a federal police facility, as customary for former head of state. But now what is going to be interesting is to see how that affects Bolsonarism, which is the far-right movement that has grown much larger than Bolsonaro. And some say that this trial does not end tomorrow when sentencing is expected to be done, but next year when we have an election, because conservatives that are trying to cater to Bolsonaro's hardcore supporters, about 1/4 to 1/3 of the Brazilian electorate, they promised to grant amnesty to Bolsonaro day one after they stepped into office. So this will also be a big issue in next year's presidential election.
And indeed, there's quite the international element to this as well, Gustavo, isn't there? I mean, even in terms of trade talks between Brazil and the US, we've seen President Trump linking this trial to the need, as he sees it, to impose big tariffs on Brazil.
Yes, exactly. I would say that the international element is one. The Brazilian Supreme Court has thoroughly exposed the strategy of far-right movements that are employed worldwide. And like you said, Donald Trump has used this trial as one of the justifications for punishing Brazil with 50% tariffs on most of our exports, which have had a major impact on Brazilian trading data in August already. And he has targeted the Supreme Court justices. 8 of the 11 Supreme Court justices have had their U.S. visas canceled. And one of them, who is the justice who oversees this case, has been targeted by U.S. sanctions that pretty much exclude him from the global financial system. So it has taken a heavy toll on these justices to pursue this case.
And Gustavo, I know this verdict has just come down in the last few moments, but has there been any response yet from the current president?
No, and I mean, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who was the victim of the coup d'etat that Bolsonaro has been found guilty of leading, he has tried his best not to comment on this, because he does not want the optics to be, I'm meddling with this trial. He wants to show that the Brazilian branches of government are independent and that the Supreme Court is carrying this trial without any interference from the government.